Hi, now let's try to design Pong game. It is similar to Snake game, and whatever you learned so far will be helpful in designing this game. So let's try to play it and see. This is the output that we want to get. So there is a ball moving across the screen, and there are two paddles, and two players are playing it. Okay. So this is one player, and this is other player. Two players are playing it, and whenever a player misses the ball, then the score will be uploaded for the other player. For example, here let us say it misses the ball. Okay, it missed. Now, if it misses the ball, the other player is going to get a score of 1. Now, let us see how to design it. So, what are the things that we need here? So, let's go to the screenshot. Now, if you observe it, there are two paddles. There are two paddles here to the left and right. So, now, and then there is a ball, right? And then there is score, and then there is a line here. So all these things have to be designed. Now, if I want to split the entire program into different small parts, then I design the code. Then you can see that this is all the code required. So one is create the screen. First, we have to create the screen with the required parameters and the background color and everything, and then create and move a paddle. So we are going to create one paddle first, and we are going to move it up and down. Here only up and down motions are there. Right and left are not required, up and down are there. And then we have to create one more paddle, and then we have to create a ball, and we have to move the ball across the screen, and then we have to detect the collision with the wall, and we have to write bounce. That you have seen that ball is bouncing off the wall, if you see that, and then detect the collision with the paddle. Then we have to see that after colliding with the paddle, again the ball has to move, and then detect when the paddle misses. So whenever the paddle misses the ball, there has to be a score update. So finally we have to keep track of the score. So all these parts we will do one by one. Okay, in steps. Okay, thank you. Now let's create the screen. So while creating the screen, I want the background of the screen to be black. I want the screen to be of black color. We are going to use BG color and add it. And then I want the width of the screen to be 400 and height of the screen to be 600. You can have any numbers here, that is not a problem. But only problem will be based on these sizes, my coordinates will vary when I try to place the paddle or when I try to place the score or the dash line, when whatever I try to place on the score, all of them depend on these numbers. So for now, you follow with me. You also take the width as 800 and score height as 600. Later, when you do it again, then you can change the numbers and experiment. For now, you follow me. Okay. Now, in the main.py, I have created a project called Pong game. Now in main.py, I'm importing it. I'm importing the screen from turtle module. Let's import the screen so that I can do the screen setup. Let's create an object of screen then. Let's create an object of screen. Then let's have the background color as black. Then let's try to have the width and height in setup. I want a width of 800 and height of 600. So we are using keyword arguments. If you observe it, this is keyword argument. It is readable if you use keywords. If you just use positional arguments, it will not be that readable. And then let's have a title. Title as Pong. And also click on exit should always be there so that screen will be there. Otherwise, screen will keep disappearing whenever you run. Now let's try to run it. So now I have got a screen which is having 800 width and 600 height, and then Pong is written over here in the title. Okay, let's now try to add the paddles one by one. First we'll add one paddle, then we'll add second paddle. Okay, thank you. Now that the screen is ready, let's try to create the paddle by using turtle class. Okay, so import turtle class. Let's try to import the turtle class. By default, any turtle size is 20 by 20, but then we want a paddle of certain height and certain width. For that, we are going to stretch it. We are going to use a single square. We are not going to use several segments to build a square here. Only single square. So we will start the turtle as a square. Turtle shape is square, and then we will stretch it. Let's have a color as white. Turtle color, let's, in this case, the paddle color is white. Let's try to stretch it using shape size method. This is available in the documentation, you can see that. Okay, so we are going to have stretch width. So it is already 20. Now I am multiplying by 5. So width will become 100, right? And the height I want to leave it as same. Now let's try to move it to the right end of the screen, right position of the screen. For that I am making pen up, otherwise it will draw a line. So always when you are moving the turtles, if you don't want a line, always do pen up. And then we'll use go to. So we will not go to the end of the screen. You know that the width of the screen is 800. Now it means that the right end is at 400. I don't want to go and touch the end of the screen. I want it to be closer to the screen, but not at the end of the screen. Closer to the end of the screen. So for that we are using 350. I will run it one more time. So now if I run it, you can see that turtle is created and it is moved to the right, and it is at the position 350 0. So y-axis is 0 and x-axis is 350 here. Okay. Now let's try to add some event listeners. First, let the screen listen to the events by adding listen. Now your keystrokes will be listened by the screen, and then add an event listener by using on key method. Now I want to have, whenever up arrow is pressed, I want it to do go up. So for that I am going to write a method called go up. Let's write the method go up. It is simple. We have to increase the y coordinate. If you have to go up, y coordinate has to be increased and x coordinate has to be same. So what we will do is, we will take the current y coordinate wherever it is, and we are going to add 20 pixels to it. We will take the current y axis by getting the current y coordinate by y core. Now if I write y core, the current y coordinate will be written. To that 20 is added. Let's call it as new y core. Now we will make the paddle go to that new y core, and x coordinate has to be same. That is why we are using the same x core, paddle.x core, which is actually in this case 350. So y core is actually increased so that it will go up by 20 pixels. So whenever you type on up key, it is going up by 20 pixels. Just run the program and see it. Now if I type up, it is going up by 20 pixels, right? By holding that up key, by pressing that up key. Now let's do the same for down also. We will write one more method called down. Go down. For go down, we are going to subtract it by 20 so that it will go down. It will go to minus negatives. Okay. And now we are going to add one more event listener. go down for down key, go down. Now let's try to run it once. Now up is working, down is working, and the paddle is moving perfectly the way that we wanted. Now what we want is here, can you run it again? If you run it again, you can see that paddle is created at 0, 0 and it is moving till 350 and that animation is being shown. Now we don't want to see that animation. We want directly our paddle to appear at the right hand. If you want to turn off the animation, then you have to turn cursor to 0. We have seen it in the earlier snake game also. We are going to turn the cursor to 0. Then animation will be turned off. Run it once. Now, if you turn the cursor to 0, update is not happening on the screen. Nothing is happening on the screen. So, whenever you turn cursor to 0, you have to manually update the screen. For that, we are going to use update method. Let's put it in the while loop. Let's create a while loop. Let's have a variable called game is on. Whenever game is over, we want to stop this while. So everything we are going to do, it will be in the while loop. So game is on. For now, have update. Screen.update. Now if you see it, it will not be like, it is not moving from the origin to the 350, right? It is directly appearing at 350. It is because we have used tracer and update. All these methods are available in documentation. Go through them once. Okay. Anyway, I am going to show you here, but still go through them once. You will understand it. How do I know about tracer and how do I know about update? It is in the documentation. Okay. Thank you. Now that we have created one paddle, the right paddle, we have to create the left paddle now. Now the problem is both the right paddle and left paddle, they have same behavior, which means same color, same shape, and also go down and go up have to be working on both of them. So in that case, instead of writing the code and entire code exactly again and again, we can use classes here. So once you make paddle as a class, then we can create left paddle and right paddle. So we are going to move this entire code. So whatever is related to the paddle, this go up, go down, and also creating the paddle, we want to move that entire code into a class so that we can directly create objects like this. So now if everything is inside a paddle class, then we can create right paddle and left paddle right away easily. Now let us assume that we are writing a paddle class, then I can create right paddle and left paddle. Only difference is the coordinates. The right paddle is at 350, left paddle should be at minus 350. So we have to somehow change the coordinates of the initial location and everything else is same, right? So for that reason, we are going to pass arguments which are the positions while creating the object. We will see how to create the object, how to create the class first. Okay. So now we will go to a new file called paddle.py. We will create a new file called paddle.py, and inside this paddle.py we will write a new class called paddle, and we will import turtle because turtle, we are going to inherit turtle. So inheritance is used here because anyway paddle is a turtle object, so it is better to have as inheritance so that everything will happen in the init. If you don't write inheritance, then it will not happen in init. What I mean to say is I'll show you. So now I am going to create init, and whenever you use inheritance, you have to call the superclass init method also. Now all the initial parameters or the initial setup that we have done for the paddle, we can write everything here. So this entire thing. We can write that entire thing here. But here, if you like, look at this line, paddle equal to turtle. This need not be there because it is already inheriting turtle, so you don't have to create a turtle object. Now, what happens if I write like this is, whenever I create the object of turtle, automatically all these lines are going to run. Okay, but then you can see that there are red lines here, which are because paddle, small paddle doesn't exist. So these are all the these are all actually the attributes of the class paddle. So you have to use self here. So now what happens is, whenever you create a paddle object, all these lines will execute automatically because they are in init. So we are replacing super paddle by self. Okay, so we have replaced all the paddle by self. Now it will work, and also you have to move up and down also into this, go up, go down methods into this, so that you don't have to write them again. Now our main.py will be very clean. Now all these lines will get executed whenever an object of paddle is created. So color, shape, and then its size, pen up, go to, everything is going to be done. But only problem here is we have to change this go to according to the parameters given by the user. Okay, that we will look at it. And every function or every method inside a class should always have self as the first parameter. Now we have to pass arguments wherever we want to make that position of the paddle, we have to pass it as an argument. So we are passing it as an argument. You can see that, right? We are passing it as an argument. Let's import paddle, otherwise there are red lines here. From the paddle file, we are importing paddle class. Now squiggly lines are gone. Now you have to somehow pass these parameters. Go to. I think spelling is PAD. Let's try to complete the code and then we do it, because there are some errors there. We have to pass them as parameters. So to init, I am passing the position as a parameter, and here I am going to take that position as a tuple. Now whenever a new paddle is created, go to main. Whenever a new paddle is created, there are some numbers passed, which are the coordinates. Now using these numbers, our paddle will go to that position. Okay. Write it as paddle.r. So on key up and down, whenever up and down is pressed, we are calling the right paddles go to. So see, there are two paddles created, right paddle and left paddle, or r paddle and l paddle. Now we are going to use the methods which are present inside the right paddle and left paddle. So similarly, we can add for right paddle also, left paddle also. For the right paddle, these are the methods which are already present inside the class, and for the left paddle also, these are the methods which are already present inside the class. But only thing is, you cannot use up and down for both the paddles. Let us use W and S. For the left paddle, up is W and S is down. Sorry, up is W and S is down. Okay. Now if I create it, now two paddles are created. Now you can move them using W and S up and down for the right and W and S for the left. We are able to move them, right? So for some reason, see, this is the power of using classes. We have written the code only once and we have generated two paddles. For some reason, if you want to generate one more paddle, you can do that. For example, if I say one more M underscore, okay, middle underscore paddle. If I want to generate one more paddle at the location 100, keep them in the tuple. At the location 100, then one more paddle will be created. Let's see that. See, one more paddle is created. And again, you can add some event listeners to this paddle also, so that whenever you type a key, it is going to move. Okay. So this is the power of using classes. Okay. Now, if you see our main.py, it is very same. Show the main.py. See, main.py has only screen and it has created three paddles. Remove the third paddle, not required. It has two paddles created and only the event listeners. What should happen when you type up down WS? That thing is written over here, and the entire code is moved on to the paddle class. So go to the paddle class. In the paddle class, we have inherited turtle class, and everything that you want to do when an object is created is written inside init, right? And then both the methods go down and go up, which are common for both of them, are actually methods of the paddle class now, and you can directly call them using object dot. When you create an object, you can say object dot. Okay, thank you. Now that the paddles are ready, the next thing that we have to do in the program is get the ball ready. Again, for the ball, we will create an object for a class for the ball, and then we will create an object of the class, and then we will make the ball move. Okay, so let's try to create a new file. I'm creating a new file called ball.py, and in this new file we are going to create the ball class. So for that we are going to use turtle. And here also ball is going to inherit turtle, so that all the initial parameters can be initialized directly by running init. So ball is inheriting turtle, and then we are going to have init method. So whenever you define a class, it is always better to use init method. And now in that init method, you are going to call the super classes init. Okay, by using super init. This is standard always. So whenever you do inherit, then you have to call the super classes init. Now we are going to set the color of the ball to white and also shape. Actually, in the original Pong game that was designed in 1980s, the shape of the ball is square, but here we are using a circle so that it will be easy. It will actually look like a ball. If you use a square, it doesn't look good. If you want, you can use a square also. That is in the original Pong game. And then you have to do pen up. We don't want the ball to draw anything. For that, we are using pen up. Let's try to import it. We have to write a method called move. We will write it, but let's try to import it and create a ball object. So small b ball is an object of class ball. Now you can see that a ball is created at the origin, at the middle. Now we want it to move like this in the top right corner. We want to move it in the direction. For that, we are going to increase the x and y coordinates gradually so that it will move like in diagonal. We will change the directions of the ball later. We will see how to bounce it off the paddle, bounce it off the wall. But for now, we will write the move method. Move is a method which is present inside the ball class, and we are going to call this move again and again in the while loop. So what should happen is every time we move its x coordinate is going to be increased by 10, y coordinate is going to be increased by 10, so that it will move in the diagonal direction. Both the x coordinate and y coordinate are increased by 10. Now we are going to use that x and y in the goto. So why are we writing self.goto? Because goto is a method available in Turtle which is inherited. Therefore, in order to call it, you have to say self. Now let's try to call that move method in the while loop so that it will continuously move. If you call it once, only one increment of x and y will happen. That is why we are calling it here in the move. Now let's try to run it and see. So it is very difficult for you to see this. Shall we run it again? So what happens is the ball is created here and it goes to the end of the screen very fast, but we don't want that to happen so fast. We want the ball to go slowly so that we can catch it using the paddle. There are two things that you can do. Instead of increasing the x and y coordinates by 10, you can increase them by 1 or 0.1. Then the movement will be slow. Otherwise, you can use the sleep method before calling. So I will use the sleep method in this program. So from time, import time. So inside the time there is a sleep method. We are going to use that sleep method so that between every two calls it is going to wait for 0.1 seconds, so that you can see that the ball is moving slowly. Otherwise it will be difficult for you to catch the ball. Now you can see that ball is moving slowly and it is going out of the screen. Okay. So that is what we wanted to do. We have created a ball class and a ball object, and now we made the ball to move across the screen. Now we have to add more functionality. It is not over yet. We have to see what happens if there is a collision with the wall, collision with the paddle. Okay. Thank you.